So we can roll and bring up the first video.
So in that video, she mentioned a couple of things in regards to caregiver burnout, talking to children about placement and and we're just hoping to talk a little bit about strategies for this family. For the first question, let's go ahead and start with Dr. Bonnie Hennick. What are ways that a parent can talk to young children about having to place their parent with HD into a care home?
Yeah, thank you. And I think this format is really incredible. I'm really looking forward to this. So I think this is about being proactive. So the question was about placement, but it sounds like this is a family that has openly discussed Huntington's disease. So if this is online someplace, I'm sure the other kids, she mentioned that there were 5 kids, that people see that this is a video that's out there. So I think it's really great that this family has talked about Huntington's disease, and that's certainly the first thing. Once you do start talking to children about this, it really is important to be honest and open in terms of things such as, I'm never going to put your mother, father, whoever it is, in a nursing home, or you'll never get this disease, if we really don't know the answers to that. And even if we think we do, in terms of, my hope is to keep your father at home. Let's take this video, for example. My hope is to keep him at home, but there might come a time that's going to be too much for me. So please know that I'm going to be open and honest with you. We're going to do everything we can. It's not about anything you've done. It's not about anything he's done. It's just about the ability to make sure that we're giving him the best care, that he's safe, and that we can all take care of ourselves as well. So I think there's a lot of things that families can do to be proactive. And I know that's hard, but I think being open and honest and letting the families know, the children know, that our hope might be one thing and we're going to work towards that, but there might be some fallbacks of plan B, C, and D in case that doesn't work out for us.
Thank you. And again, if any of you want to chime in, just me starting the question with someone doesn't mean that's specific to that person. Please do share with what resources you have for everyone. The second question for this video: how can caregivers best manage caregiver burnout? And we think maybe Erica could start with this one.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me. So I'm very excited. So with managing caregiver burnout, I think it is about utilizing whatever support team that you have built for yourself or continue building. And it is using that team. It might be friends, it might be your family, it might be neighbors, it might be your HD healthcare team. It's being open and honest about where you're at and having these open discussions. And it's giving yourself permission. It's giving yourself permission to feel like you are burning out, to feel sad, to feel heartbreak, and to give yourself permission to take breaks. Or if you are having to make these difficult decisions of putting your loved one in a place that's outside of your home, it's going, this is the best thing. This is what I'm doing out of love, and giving yourself that permission, and that, acknowledge that you are doing the best thing for the safety of this person and your loved one. But it's taking, hey, I have a neighbor who can come over for an hour while I run out. It's asking that question, can you be that person? And taking them up on it, not just trying to do everything yourself, because the more pain, the more suffering, the more exhaustion that you're feeling, the more that's going to be put on your loved one. So you want to take care of yourself so that you're showing up as the best self for them.
Yeah. Anyone else?
Caregivers need to do more than just take 10 minutes to run to the store, right? That's necessary too, but they need 10 minutes to go for a walk. They need 10 minutes to make a call to a friend. They need to take care of themselves too, so that they can be a better caregiver, spouse, parent, whatever it is. And I think when people recognize that and do that for themselves, there's less caregiver burnout and there's better interactions. It's not always possible, but I turn to my social work team to help out and to do what we can to help out the caregivers too.
And I like what Erica said with like accepting help and not having to do it all by yourself. When I was caring for my mom, I was very controlling in that respect. I was like, no, I don't need help. I can do everything myself. And then as Dr. Frank said, the interactions became different. I was more bitter towards her. I was short with her. I had a lot less patience because of what I wasn't taking care of myself. It was like this circle I had created because I wasn't willing to say, help me, or yes. So I like that perspective.
And a good start for that is to start reframing it in your mind. It's not a failure to ask for help. It's not a failure to place somebody in a facility. So it's really important to get into that mindset to say, this is what I need. This is about safety. This is about what the person needs. This is about helping out the family as well. So getting into the mindset in terms of that's not a failure. Asking for help is never a failure. Saying I can't do it all is not failing. Putting somebody in a facility is not failing. So I think first getting into that mindset, and then some of that other acceptance of asking for help and being able to do this can be really helpful for people.
And on top of that, just to add, it's not a failure. And in fact, you're helping out the other people who have already offered to help. It makes them feel better to help you out. And so it's far from a failure, in fact.
Agreed.
Very true. Yeah, very true. So last question for this video, are there any resources to help her be able to keep him in home longer? Yeah. Erica, maybe?
I would say so. It's definitely different depending your state that you're in. Your Medicaid waivers are going to be different in how they manage their waivers, county to county and state to state. So you may have a community waiver program that you're appropriate for financially, asset wise. You can also talk to a certified Medicaid planner to make sure that certain things are protected and that you can go that route. And with these waiver programs, it's people who want to stay in the community who are not they don't want to go into a skilled nursing facility, so they can designate a certain amount of hours or care within the home. I know some places Medicaid will also pay for a caregiver, but it really depends on your location that you're at. Reaching out to one of the organizations, Help for HD, HD Reach, HDSA, HDO, we can help you with those kinds of resources and figuring out what is available for you. There might be a volunteer program that's local to your area. There might be a respite space that you're appropriate for, or funding or stipend. There might be care centers, adult care centers or day centers that your loved one can go to so that it helps break up the week. So there's quite a few options that we can pursue, but it does depend on your location, where you're at and what's available.
Thank you.
And Erica, at least near us in the Northeast, a lot of help has been difficult to find after the pandemic. Just the number of people that are out there to have help at home. Any strategies or ideas, or do you think that this is a nationwide problem?
It's everyone that I'm hearing from, it's nationwide. There's been a lot of just healthcare burnout, and you're having a lot of these caregiving agencies are low on staffing. So you may have some who are a little bit more consistent. You may have some that are starting to build that back up, but it is not happening quickly. It's not an overnight thing. So you may see a lot of turnover with personnel if you can get people to come in. So sometimes people utilize private caregiving, where they find somebody that they can privately care for or pay and bring that person in. But it is definitely a nationwide thing where that is a real serious issue.
And on the opposite, sometimes caregivers will focus on, why are people in the family not helping? Why is my brother not stepping up to the plate to take care of mom? And that takes a lot of energy. So sometimes what I do when I work with people is to say, you know that for a fact, that might be the way that your brother's coping, that he can't be there physically for mom. So why don't we try to move away from that and just you don't have to accept it, but just understand that's where he's coming from, and say, that's not going to be the focus of, if you would only do this, if my sister would only do this, if somebody else would only do this. So getting out of that mindset and saying, like Erica said before, building that support system up. Can somebody come over for an hour each week? Can somebody, and I know it's not enough time, but building up some of those and getting into the mindset to say, can I put together this patchwork of people that might be able to help, whether they're paid, volunteer, friends, family, or if there's other waivers and other things that have to be found.
And it can be super just uncomfortable. Maybe you do have a sibling who's not as physically involved, but financially they're able to be a little bit more involved. And that can at least Dr. Bonnie said about a patchwork, you're patching together. Maybe somebody is more financially resourced and able to support in that way while you're managing the day-to-day care, and that's bringing you a little bit of relief. Or maybe it is the family member that brings the groceries, or it's piecing together what are some of the other people's strengths if they are wanting to get involved, and highlight those and use them.